Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're having a bit of a Tokyo Marui love fest. You may have noticed the Tokyo Marui bag and a few Tokyo Marui posters. So we've got the magnificent Mark 46 and we've got an M7A1, which is basically a 1911 with a rail. And I put those up courtesy of the guys at Defcon Airsoft, who handed me a little bit of a advertising bag with the posters in. And incidentally, that's where I actually got my Mark 46 from, was from the guys at Defcon Airsoft in Stoke. Look out for their website. They're really good guys, and that's also where I got this from, which we're going to be looking at today. Remember guys, if you like the videos and the content, give us a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe and hit the little bell for notifications. And without further ado, we'll get on with this unboxing. So, as I said, I popped into the guys at Defcon Airsoft and I had in mind, already knew what I wanted to get, and that was a Tokyo Marui MP7A1, particularly the gas blowback version. So what we'll do a standard unboxing. We'll have a bit of a shoot with it and a mess around with it, see what it's like. I've also got a spare magazine, and we'll do a bit of a range test as well. Here we go guys, this is the MP7A1 from Tokyo Marui. And this is gas blowback version, and because there is an AEG version floating around, but I've not really seen much about it. And it is the tan model. So I think the tan is reasonably new to the range, but the MP7 certainly isn't. This has been around for quite a time, so it's not a new model by any means. Now there's several MP7s around that I've seen. There's a VFC gas one, there's a VFC AEG version, which is licensed under Umarex, and it's quite expensive. And then there's the Tokyo Marui. Now I've heard loads and loads of people say how good these are. Obviously they're not high FPS because they're Tokyo Marui, but so many people have said to me that they're such good guns that I thought, well, you know what, we'll go out, we'll try it out, because I wanted a compact SMG and I love the MP7. And one of my favourite guns ever is the MP5, but obviously that's not as compact as this, and I wanted something really compact. And I will be looking out for one of the new ICS MP5s when they come out, because they are releasing a bit of an upgrade to them. But for now, we're going to have a look at this. So it comes in a nice purplish coloured box, and we've got a nice picture of it on here, and you can see there are some actual trades on this, so it'd be interesting to see exactly what we've got. So let's see what's in the box. So first of all, we've got our polystyrene, that's a receipt. We've got our manual tucked into the polystyrene, and we'll have a quick look at that. So what do we have in here? We have instructions about looking out for ricochets and plugging up the barrel for some reason. We have, what's this? I'd say that's probably some kind of warranty card, maybe, all in Japanese. This is the do's and don'ts. So these are unusual ones. So the do's and don'ts seem to be: don't let your animals or pets commandeer your gun and rob you with it. Don't imitate cowboys while shooting dogs. Don't shoot yourself in the face. Good advice. And don't shoot tin cans off boxes while your dog holds onto it. And finally, don't walk around with it on your shoulder, I guess in public, which is actually a fair bit of advice. That we've got some targets. This is nice, and then we've got an exploded view of the actual gun itself. And I love these. Tokyo Marui, your gods for sending these out, because sometimes it's nice to see exactly what part you want and when you want to order it. So I love that. And you've got your manual, which again is all in Japanese, as per usual with the Tokyo Marui. It shows you again the do's and don'ts. It shows you the basic operation of the gun, basic operation of the sights, the fire selector, how to detach the rails, how to mount optics, how to use the stock and the foregrip, how to cock it, how to load a mag, how to gas a mag, how to load it, put a cap on, all the usual good stuff that you get. and a few problem solvings as well. How to adjust the hop up, which is an important one. So all good. You've also got a unjamming rod and cleaning rod there, which are always useful things to have around. Never ever throw that away. The amount of times I come to clean a barrel and then think, where the hell have I put that unjamming rod? Even though I've got dozens of things, I always manage to misplace them. And finally, we remove this, and there is the gun itself in all its glory. So we've got this nice textured lining to the box, a nice reflective sticker on there. I know I'm not one for going on about boxes usually, but I do love the way Tokyo Marui package their guns. And we've got a little pack, and we've got some, what's that? Ah, these are dry firing things, so you can actually put them in the magazine if you want to dry fire it. And we've got some BBs. We've got a barrel adapter. This one's important, which we'll get to in a bit. And we've got a barrel plug for the end for your transport, doing whatever with it. So that's all good. So you have your gas magazine, which are 40 round mags, but I think the instructions tell you to put 38 in, I think it is. So yeah, typical gas magazine, quite heavy. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way. Then finally, we've got the gun itself. So let's take this out and remove the boxes. So here is the SMG itself. So it's a nice tan colour. This is all polymer, as is the real one. Polymer pistol grip and stock plates and foregrip. And then you've got the metal rails across the top and down the sides, and also the barrel. Now, don't be confused, this is the same as the real steel version. That is also made of polymer. One thing that is worth noticing about this gun is that, or mention about this gun, is the fact that this is actually a not a full-size replica. It's 10% smaller than the real steel. I don't know why. I am assuming it's something to do with copyrights or trademarks, but it's actually 10% smaller, so it's 90% of the size of the real thing. The Uber-X AG, I believe, is actually full size. I don't think you're going to realistically notice it though. It's quite a small thing. It's not the end of the world, and not something I really notice because it is a compact SMG. Now, this is obviously going to work the same way as the real steel, so you're going to have to be able to cock it and change mags, everything else the same as the real steel, because it is a gas blowback. The only discernible difference is the actual release lever for the bolt, and it pushes up instead of down, which happens on the real steel. Now, the caliber is got down here is 4.6mm by 30. That's the real caliber size, and of the real steel, should I say. And we have got some trades as far as the HK MP7A1 is concerned. Then we've got the typical H&K markings for our fire selector. And it's much the same on the other side, except for here it says Tokyo Marui Co. Limited, made in Japan. So the rest of it is all the same. So here's your bolt in there. This is your stock control, so you pull it back and you can extend your stock. And then you've got 1, 2. So you've got 3 settings in total for your stock, 4 if you include fully closed. So yeah, because it's such a small caliber, you'll notice the end of here is quite small, and this is where your adapter comes in. So this adapter is made to fit on the end of here instead of the flash hider, and what that then does is it provides you with a 14mm counterclockwise thread to attach a silencer or a tracer unit, and that's what I'll be doing with this particular gun. I'll be fitting a tracer unit to it for when we're playing in the dark, and I'm going to use this as a primary actually for CQB and a secondary for playing out on the field. If I'm sniping something like that, I'll probably carry this with me because it's so compact, it's easy to do. So if you want to use the actual foregrip, you pull it back, push it down, and it locks in place, and it's actually extremely sturdy. There's no wobble whatsoever in that, so I'm not going to change that. That's going to stay. We have our magazine release here in the same way as every H&K gun pretty much, and we have a Glock style trigger, so you can't pull it until you press the safety, and then it goes down. and that is the only safety on the gun other than the fire selector, so I suppose that counts. Got a nice solid crisp click to the operation, and obviously our bolt release there. So all in all, quite nice. Then when we want to cock the gun, we get the two paddles at the back, pull them back and release, and then that's ready to fire. So you got a nice crisp click when you pull the trigger, so nice and solid. So far so good. So then if we put the magazine in, and away we go. So one thing you'll note about this when you start to handle is it feels quite odd in your hand. It feels the pistol grip feels like it's almost tipping the gun forwards a little bit, which feels quite odd. In reality, when you've got it in your shoulder, you don't notice because your hand tends to go down anyway, and I think that's the way it's designed. It's actually quite ergonomical, it's quite nice. Now if we rack the bolt with the magazine in, that will stick back now because the bolt stays back. It's not going to go forwards because the magazine's empty, so you have to release it manually, like so. If you want to access the hop up unit, you pull the trigger forwards, it brings the hop up dial into view, and then you use your thumbnail to try and move it. I'm not going to lie to you, that is quite tricky. It's easier if you've got a multi-tool or something that you can actually stick in and move it around with, because it is quite fiddly. And then you just release it and away you go. You can then go back to skirmishing, or at least firing. You've got your iron sights on top. As far as the iron sights are concerned, you've got like typical SMG white dot sights, it's like tri-sights, and then if you want you can flip them up and you'll have rifle style sights as well to give you a little bit better eye relief on there. Slightly, so that gives you a little bit better view through if you want to pick your targets. I actually prefer using the rifle sights because you don't have to get your eye down quite as far. It's much easier to find a target. Of course, the best way will be to stick a red dot on there. We've got rails at the sides for a flashlight or a PEC box or whatever you want, a laser, and then obviously along the top we've got the same for your optics. So all in all, it's quite nice. And if we stick a magazine in, and just magazine's clear, like the gun's clear, there's no BBs in there, we'll just rack it. Obviously there's nothing in there at the moment. Put the fire selector on, and it locks back. And it's a nice positive bang as it goes. So what we do, we'll get some rounds in and we'll have a go with it down on the end of garden range to see exactly how it's firing. These are supposed to be quite good for accuracy. The FPS on them it'll be around the 290 to 300. They're not terribly high. It is advised that you use the lower powered gases, so something like the Neutral 1, but I have heard of people using slightly higher. As long as you don't go crazy with it, you should be okay, according to some forums on the internet. Personally, I haven't tried it, so if you do try it and blow up your gun, don't blame me. I have warned you. I believe the main risk is the actual nozzle, so we'll just be careful and see how we go. But so far, it feels really nice. Okay guys, we're going to do the chrono first before we go down and do the accuracy. Now I've got two magazines loaded here. We've got this one 0.2s, and this one is actually running the Neutral #1 gas, which is here. Now this is the kind of thing you'd use in lower powered airsoft gas guns, so things like the Novridge SSX or Mark 23. It's recommended to use the lower pressure gas, and it's the same for this gas gun as well. They recommend the lower stuff, but you can, I believe, use green gas as well. So this one, it says 0.28 because that's what we're going to use on when we do a range test, but I have loaded some 0.2s in there just so you can compare the gas and see how it goes, and that is actually the Ultra Air from ASG that I usually use. So let's try this out. So first up, we're going to use the 0.2s with the Neutral #1 gas. So that's 313, 304, 298, 295, 294, 296, 290, 288, 287, and 289. So pretty consistent and gradually going down as the gas is depleted. So we will now try the higher powered gas. So we just clear this out. Straight away there's a big increase. So 341, 338, 343, 346, 338, 340, 347, 337, 337 and 334. So straight away you can see there's a big difference in the actual FPS between the two gases, which makes a huge difference. So what we'll do now is clear that out. We'll put the 2.8s in and we'll do an accuracy test with the 2.8, and we'll use the ASG gas for this. Okay then guys, so last thing to do will be just the rounds per minute test. So we'll have a look at that, because I've got to do it before. And this will be in full auto, obviously. And that is 910 rounds per minute, so not bad. Certainly not, you know, high AEG rate of fire, but still not the worst. You could hear a little bit of cool down then, but I think that's more to do with the gas. That was the new Pro 1 gas. I think the ASG might be a little bit better, but yeah, a little bit of cool down there as it started to slow down, but nothing too bad. And the magazine is empty, so I'll just release the bolt, put it onto safe. Actually, we'll just release it and then put it back to safe. So there you have it. Now you'll see I've put a couple of accessories on here. This is more to give you an idea of how it looks when it's more dressed up. So I've put a little red dot on the top, and I've put a flashlight on the front with a pad on the side for activating, a pressure pad, and it's also one of the integrated ones with a switch. They're quite nice, they are. But this is pretty much how it runs, except for the addition of a mock suppressor with a tracer unit inside. So I've got one of those on the way, specifically made for the MP7, and that should be quite good. I'm quite looking forward to putting that on and seeing what it looks like, because it does give it a more aggressive look to it. And all in all, this is a treat to use. Now, one thing you'll have noticed with the shooting test was I was having a few problems with the target falling over. Now, what I was actually using at the time were just the iron sights. So I actually had the rifle sights up, I didn't have the red dot on, and I was just firing straight down the range with 0.28 BBs. Now the one thing I can say is with the iron sights you don't get a great picture, you're not entirely sure of where the BBs are going, you have to sort of guess a little bit. So I got to a point where I could hear them hitting the target and then just went for a little bit of rapid fire to see if I could get a grouping. And in all honesty, I was quite impressed, because it was hardly hardly a fair test accuracy wise. And we'll have a look at the target now and we can go through what happened. Okay guys, so when the target was first out, this was the bottom. So when we first fired, the first few that hit the target, obviously knocked it over, were all located sort of down in this area, and these guys as well. So we had quite a decent grouping, and like, remember I'm saying that I didn't really see where the BBs were going. I only knew they were hitting the target and tried to hold the gun reasonably stable. After I managed to get the target to stand up, yeah, we started to get a grouping which was around here, and I think we had this one flyer over here. So all in all, actually not a bad grouping. So if we look at these groupings, we're looking roughly around about 100 millimeters, so 4 inches roughly by 2 inches, or 50 millimeters. And for the bottom few, just over 4 inches, or 110 mil by about 40 again. or 1.5. So groupings wise, considering the conditions and the fact that we had no hop up, that wasn't adjusted, we were using iron sights, so we couldn't reasonably see where they were going, and it was fresh out of the box, having not tested it at all. I was using the ASG gas with 0.28 Jeff's BBs. So all in all, I'm actually pretty impressed with this, and I think the 2.8s are perhaps a little bit light for it. Unfortunately, I haven't got anything heavier other than 0.40s and upwards at the moment, because I'm actually short of BBs. But with that said, I'm actually really impressed with this. So far, so good. And I think if we were using 0.30s plus, maybe 0.32s, something like that, I think it would have a real effect to this gun. And even with obviously we're using the more powerful gas in there, we were using the ASG gas, but so using green gas, it's really kicking these things out there well. And I think with the heavier BBs, it's going to be fantastic. Amazing. As a standard gun, I am actually really amazed by how good it feels. Stick a Crazy Jet barrel in an auto bucking, maybe even better, and I think you'll get some really good results. You just need to watch to make sure that actual nozzle doesn't break if you're using more powerful gas. More powerful gas is going to wear it out quicker, and you're going to have to replace parts sooner. So it is worth thinking about that. But if you're happy doing that and you're not too worried about doing it, and you can get the spare parts, then why not? I haven't decided what gas I'm going to run it on yet. I'm going to try it a bit more with the number one gas to see exactly what it's like and see if I can get the similar kind of accuracy out of it. But first impressions of the unboxing, absolutely great. So yeah, I'm really impressed with that. So guys, final thoughts on the TM MP7A1. So far it feels solid, really nice build, no wobbles, no shakes, everything feels tight and solid, no wobbles in the foregrip, that's good. We've got plenty of rail to fit accessories on. I'd probably fit a smaller red dot than that on there, but it does the job for now. We've got a pretty sturdy 3-position adjustable stock. I say sturdy, as sturdy as these can be. I mean, they are, at the end of the day, thin aluminium sort of legs on here, so it's not gonna be the same as a solid wood AK stock, but for what it's built for, it's certainly sturdy enough, and I'm quite impressed. There's very little wobble in it, which I like. We've got a charging handle at the back here, realistic charging. We've got our bolt release. Okay, it goes in the opposite direction to the real steel, but it still does the same thing. We've got our ambidextrous mag release, and we've got our nice clicking fire selector. So all good. I'm really impressed with it. And the magazine's fitting nicely. There's no wobbles, nothing. And so far, I'm really impressed with this. It's a really, really nice compact gun. It all depends what you're after. Now, for me, I'll be using this as a primary for CQB with the tracer unit on the front, and I think it's absolutely perfect for that. I would say even that you could use this as a primary, even a woodland site, outdoor site, because it throws the BB so well, from what I've seen so far, that you won't have any problems. Obviously, with it being a gas gun, it comes down to restrictions with the weather, with it being cold. Now today it's roughly about 5 degrees, 5 to 6 degrees. I didn't have any freezing problems while I was doing the test firing. It worked absolutely fine. But anything lower than that, I'm sure, the same as any gun. But the difference is with this, you don't want to be putting your cold weather gas in, like your black gas. You really don't want to be doing that, because you are going to damage it. So you are restricted with what gases you can use. But that's not a big deal. If you put black gas in this, chances are I would push the FPS too high anyway. So not a big problem. One thing you want to consider is ways of carrying it. Now, you can buy holsters for these if you really want to, but if you're using it as a primer, there's not really much use in that. You want it on a sling. You can buy these little rope slings which fit through the sling loops on the front and the back. You just hook it through and then attach that to a normal sling, or you can get little sling blocks that fit to the rail that you can attach a QD sling mount to as well. If you want to conceal carry it in a game for whatever reason, as a backup, if you're sniping or something like that and you want something with a bit of punch for your backup, you can fold it down and it becomes quite compact, and you can sort of tuck it away. And again, then you may want to get yourself on these leg mounted SMG holsters for that kind of thing. But it is reasonably heavy, so if you are using it as a backup for sniping, be aware of the weight of it. It is pretty chunky, so it's not the lightest thing in the world. So if you've got it strapped to your belt or something like that, and one of these retention hooks just to stop it moving around, you are going to know it's there. It's not like having a pistol in a holster. It's a lot heavier than a pistol. But you've also got to consider the mag. So with it being a gas gun, magazines are not cheap. So where you'd pay say £20 for a good quality AEG magazine from the likes of PTS, these do come in around anywhere from sort of £39 to £45. They're not the cheapest things, and obviously they're not high caps. They hold 40 rounds, 38 rounds. So you're not getting a lot of BBs for your money, remember that. And also you've got to consider the maintenance of the magazines. I've currently got 2 magazines, I need to get some more. I really want to run at least 4, possibly a 5th one. So they're not a cheap investment. And you have to consider that, and the price of the gas as well on top of that. So I've just run out of gas, unfortunately, except for the new Pro 1. I'm short of green gas now, so I've got to get some more. And then you consider your heavier BBs are more expensive. So there are these different things, but I think all in all it's worth every bit of that, because the shooting experience with a gas gun, if you've never used anything other than a gas pistol, there is a unique shooting experience with gas guns. And some people hate them, some people swear by them, won't use anything else. I sort of sit on the fence, and I like both. I love AEGs, I think they've got a place, and I love gas guns, I think they've got a place. But when you're using gas primaries, you've got to consider they do have a few restrictions. And that's mostly to do with carrying equipment, you know, carrying mags. They're heavy, they're expensive, they have less ammo. The guns tend to need more maintenance. They tend to be more affected by weather conditions, but at the same time they're able to throw heavier ammo further, more predictably, very often quite accurately. So it is a bit of a mixture as to what you want to do with these things. I would recommend this gun to anyone who wants a realistic gas blowback SMG. If you don't want gas blowback, then you've got to go the AEG route. You can get MP7s from VFC in the AEG form, and VFC also do a gas version of it as well, which is full size and it's licensed. But are the internals of a VFC as good as the Tokyo Marui? Well, that could be an age-old argument. A lot of people swear by them, a lot of people swear by the Tokyo Marui. I haven't got a VFC to compare, so I don't know. I can only go by what I hear. But from what I've seen on this, it's absolutely fantastic build quality. Typical Tokyo Marui. You pay a premium for them, but the build quality is there. If you use the #1 gas, the FPS is quite low, and if you use green gas, the FPS shoots up, so you need to just make sure you're within the limits. This is within the limits, but only just, so just remember that. And on a really hot day, I probably wouldn't run the green gas at all, so consider that also. So you may want to think about whether you really want to run green gas in the weather conditions that you've got. And these are all things you need to do a little bit of research on and try out for yourself sometimes, because with gas guns there are quite a few variables, whereas AEGs there aren't as many. But I love this thing and it's absolutely fantastic, and I've gone from thinking maybe using it as a secondary to actually going to run it as a primary, because it is so much fun to shoot, and nothing quite gives you the same experience as the recoil of a gas gun compared to an AEG. And even with the Tokyo Marui recoil guns, they're absolutely fantastic, but the gas gun always has a little bit more. So all in all, guys, that was the unboxing and first impressions of the Tokyo Marui MP7A1. Remember, if you like the channel, you like the content, give us a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe and hit the little notification bell so you get instant notifications when we put the videos up. Remember to stay tuned, there is some more coming up. I've got a little bit of a DMR project coming up which might be of interest to you, so stay tuned for that and keep watching. And I'm going to be disappearing for the next couple of weeks because I've got to go to university, but that doesn't mean there are not going to be any videos. Hopefully I'll still get one out next weekend, so stay tuned for that, and keep watching. Bye bye.